It's Viv from Beauty for Ashes, and I'm doing part 3 today. Last time I chatted to you guys about living your life as a book, and what's your scripture and what's the purpose of the book, and then working on the content. And just a nice little update. As I'd said before, my scripture was, blessed is she who believes in what God has promised her, which is Luke 1:4-5. And working towards preparing myself for where I feel called, which is kids summer camp and going into film and television. So last 2 weeks I have had quite a bit of breakthrough, which is always exciting, when you can feel you are stepping into your destiny. And in January I started working on a project with KZN Tourism to start bringing celebrities into KZN and documenting a holiday to promote KZN as a holiday destination, and to bring more international celebrities and tourists into our province. So we had a meeting with KZN Tourism, which went incredibly well, and they've come on board and are backing it. And sitting in the meeting, the head of marketing for KZN Tourism had said, best thing to do is to pitch to the airlines. But the guy, and they were having a meeting with all the airlines, but it's very difficult to get hold of the guy who sets it up because he's so busy. He's the CEO of Dube Trade Port or something. So she said she'll do her best to try and set up the meeting, but it's hard to get hold of him. And as we walk out the meeting, we bump into him. It was like the heavens had opened up, and I was so stoked because I knew only God would do that. And bumped into him. She said, hey, we need to put a proposal forward. We need to do a presentation to the airlines, set up the meeting right then and there. Week later, I was presenting to airlines. So, and meeting went incredibly well, and things are moving forward, and we have 2 celebrities coming through in November. So, hey, association is important, hey? You want to get into film and television, then the best thing to do is to spend 2 weeks with some celebrities. So, it's very exciting. There is a purpose as to why God told me to bring through these specific celebrities, but I'll share that with you at a later stage. And in terms of content of the book, so with the content, starting to work on the contents of my book, I'm breaking it up into 3 sections, which is mind, body, soul, which is soul, spirit. And the first part in terms of mind is how you see yourself and your identity. And my dad and my mother are huge fans of a ministry called Freedom in Christ, and it's done by Neil T. Anderson. And my dad had given me a book. They've got a few books I'd recommend, Victory Over the Darkness. And they talk about acceptance in there, and they talk about rejection. And I think that is such a good foundation, because we are created to seek acceptance. We want to be accepted. Even as children, you see kids going, oh, daddy, look at my picture, or look, mommy, I can do the splits. Kids are constantly, from a young age, we are striving for acceptance, whether it's from our friends or our parents or whatever the case may be. We want to be accepted, and when we are not, we feel rejected. And rejection is a different thing, because that thing of never feeling worthy or good enough can get you in a really low place and prevent you from moving forward. So how we handle rejection as humans is in 3 different ways. So the one way, and you'll always see it, I think it's like the oldest child thing, is, that striving to be perfect all the time. So what happens is, if they do something and it's not good enough, or they don't get accepted and they feel rejected, then they work harder. Then it's all works driven. So they will, okay, I got 80% and 80% is not good enough, and I haven't been accepted, or with the 80%, next time I'm going to get 90%. It's always striving more to get acceptance. So that's one way of handling rejection. Second way of handling rejection is you buckle to it. So, my 80% wasn't good enough, so I'm not going to try. I'm not accepted by them, so I'm just going to leave it. And then the third way of handling rejection is rebellion, is to rebel against it. Okay, so my 80% wasn't good enough. Well, then I'm not even going to write the exam. I'm going to bunk the next section. And I think being a pastor's kid and a middle child, rebellion was my portion. So I go to church and someone would complain that my jeans were too tight. Well, next week I was in a short skirt. So, and I'll give you a perfect example of how that can affect the way your future, with how you handle rejection. It was my first day of Standard 9. My teacher had told me that I would never amount to anything more than a spur waitress. So I could have gone, I'm going to prove you wrong and stay in school and do my best to get the best marks I could to try and get her acceptance. Or I could have stayed and just been like, oh, well, I'm not going to get her acceptance anyway. But Vivian decides to drop out. I was like, oh, okay, I'll show you. And then I dropped out of school and never went back. That's affected my future. Something as simple as death that a teacher had spoken over my life and feeling the rejection of it. And obviously the whole thing of how can you be Vanjie Lewis's sister, because Vanjie did so well at school with a lot of hard, my sister worked her butt off, but still, and then I was completely different. So it just shows you how a moment of rejection can affect things in your future. And it's so important for us to understand that Christ, Jesus was perfect. He's the only perfect man who walked this earth, and he was rejected. He was rejected by everyone. So is rejection not our portion? We are meant to be Christ-like. So it's inevitable that we are going to be rejected by people. We're not going to be accepted by everyone. And it's so important for us to understand our heart in terms of pleasing people, because we can't please people, but we can please God. And we are accepted. We are his children. He created us perfectly. And it's so beautiful to know, in a season where you don't feel like you're enough. I think like that has been where I've been trying to deal, is just knowing that I am enough. I'm enough for my kids. I am enough for Christ. And if you were the only person that lived on the earth, he would still lay down his life for you. You are not only enough, but you are more than enough. And he accepts you and he loves you. And we should refocus our attention on pleasing him instead of pleasing others. It allows us to cope with rejection so much easier. I struggle as well. Sometimes I feel like the black sheep of the family with my parents. My brother's doing incredibly well overseas. My sister does well. And I'm a bit of a loon. So sometimes I feel sorry for my parents, because I'm just like, I want their acceptance, and I don't want to feel like I'm a disappointment to them. But the truth of the matter is I'm their child. And that it doesn't matter what I do, I will always be loved. And from a young age, we always believe that obedience is what makes us accepted and loved. So often people give advice and they tell you what to do, and then you do it because you want to be accepted by them, because you want to be obedient. And they are man, and they are in their flesh, and you can't always be obedient. You can't listen to what everyone else tells you to do. That's been a big thing for me this season. Is I've had a lot of people telling me what to do. Okay, well, you're going through this. Well, then this is how you handle it. And then I do it because I want to please that person, because I love them. And I want to prove to them that I'm growing, or I'm healing, or whatever the case may be. And the truth is, I should be seeking God first, and what he's telling me to do and instructing me to do. So if you're watching this and you've told me to do something, I haven't done it. I love you very much. I do. But I have to first be obedient to what Christ instructs me to do. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to please you. And that's cool. Sorry. But my first priority is to please him. And I think if we live like that and we just refocus, I'm tired of feeling rejected. I'm tired of feeling like I'm not good enough to people. And you'll always feel like you're not good enough, and that you're not accepted. But that is a lie from the pit of hell. You are loved and you are accepted by the God who created the universe, and who created you exactly how you are, all your weaknesses and your strengths. And our job is to be obedient to him and his calling and his leading and his guidance, and You could never be rejected by the person who created you. You will always be accepted by him. So that is my journey at the moment of rediscovery, is just how to deal with rejection. So I'd love to find out from you guys. We'll add a little thing again where you guys can come in. How do you handle rejection? You know, which phase is it? Do you rebel? Do you succumb to it? Or are you one of those first children, Captain America, work your butt off to try and receive acceptance? It's always interesting to find out from friends and people who are watching you on a journey how they deal with rejection. And also, how do you overcome it? That's always a good one. It's always interesting to find out how people overcome rejection. So, anywho, hope you guys have a fantastic week, and God bless you all.